Oh, hello, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's good, feeling excited. We are here to talk about what we've got in Cardiff Metropolitan University. My name is Anita, and I'm one of the lecturers in Cardiff Met, teaching in Food Science and Technology program. Simon.
Hi, and I'm Simon. Again, I'm one of the lecturers in Food Science and Technology, teaching at Cardiff Metropolitan University as well. So what we're going to do is talk about a little bit about ourselves, backgrounds and stuff, what we do. And then we've got a few slides that will continue from there. So, do you want to continue? Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
The reason I put this slide up here is because there's this huge growing change within the food industry in all aspects around the world, because there's been a lot of reports about how by the year 2050 there's going to be 9 billion people on the planet, which means we need to increase our resources by about 70% in developed countries and about 50% in developing countries in order to meet this growing demand for food needs. And this is one of the statements that was made by Maria Helena Semeno from the FAO. She's like the Deputy Director General of Natural Resources, and she was quite concerned that we really need to start looking at food and focusing on it in quite a large way in order to meet this demand. And that's kind of one of the areas where we come in, because we're teaching a lot of these potential students that are going to be graduating to go into this field, not just in the UK, but internationally as well, to look at food in terms of more sustainable sources, reducing wastage, making food safe for the consumer, looking at product development, new innovative ideas, and taking things from international markets and seeing how they would work within the UK market as well.
Okay, what do we do, what we can help you with, and what students can get when they come to university. So the university has got a very strong link with food industry, and there is a department in food science sector which is called 025. It's a great link with university and industry. So when students coming to university, they can learn about different technique and different aspects of food, and also they can keep in touch with the food industry, because we do have the connection to 025 Food Industry Center. In food science and technology, you will students get loads of lessons around the science around food, like chemistry or biochemistry or physics or microbiology, and we can give more details as we're looking at the other slides as we go along. And then there are different pathways for students. When they finish schools, they can come to university or can take other paths, and Simon's going to look into that in more details.
Thank you. So in terms of our university, since about 2009, give or take, we've done about £100 million worth of investment into each of our sites in total. So we've got two main sites. We've got the Llandaff site, which is where we're based at the moment, and we've got the Kincoed site. The Kincoed site is very sports orientated, and it's currently undergoing massive redevelopment there. They've had some famous athletes that have appeared there over the last few weeks, because we've had our outdoor running track completely redeveloped. So there's a brand new outdoor running track and athletics area there. And in terms of the Llandaff site where I'm based, we've had a management building built, and an art centre that's just been built as well for all of our art students. The building that we're based in, which is part of the Food Industry Centre, had just under £5 million worth of investment from the Welsh Government in 2009 to build the Food Industry Centre. So that's based on two floors predominantly. The ground floor, we have kitted this out with low-risk, high-risk facilities, and a bakery, which is where this photograph's taken from, and confectionery area as well, to try and mimic what the food companies look like. So when we take students, visitors, and potentially other people around, we showcase these areas, because when the students get out, once they're graduated, this is pretty much identical to what they'll see. Now, all companies are different in terms of size, shape, so we've gone quite generic. But you see the majority of things that we have, maybe on a smaller scale we have, but they'll see them when they go into food companies as well. And that's where we've looked at our development side. Because we work with a lot of food manufacturing companies, predominantly in Wales, but now, well, in the last few years, it's gone international. We kind of look at what they want, what they need, and that's where we're investing in. So at least when the students graduate, it's with the latest technology and information that they come across. So within our department, within our school, we recently changed this year to the School of Sport and Health Science. It used to be just the School of Health Sciences. However, we're merging this year with the School of Sport as well. So over the next 5 years, we've got a plan to change campuses and have brand new state-of-the-art facilities built for us as well. However, at the moment, we're in the Llandaff site. So within our school, we have sport, we have healthcare and food, which is where we're based. We have psychology and also biomedical sciences. So to focus just on the food aspect of this, for those potential students that don't actually meet the grades in terms of A levels or BTECs, if they are interested in going down this field but they don't have the qualifications, we have a foundation course that leads onto our BSc health science courses. So you'd start doing this foundation course, which would be a year, and then at the end of that, you would decide on what area you want to go down. Do you want to go psychology? Do you want to go more biomedical sciences? Or would you like to focus on maybe nutrition or food science instead? Or you can go straight into our BSc Food Science and Technology course. We also have a master's course as well for those who either want to continue their studies or maybe they've been away and then they're going to come back and they want to continue. And then we'll also do an e-learning master's course as well, which is a food technology for industry. So the master's program we set up for the e-learning one a couple of years ago for those who work in industry but want to upskill themselves. So we've had some food companies in Wales who want their staff to go through this e-learning, this additional training, but they can't release the staff for long enough to go and do a master's course. So instead they would do it on their evenings and weekends in their own time, and they look through the e-learning material. So we've got a number of modules that have been set up to take the students over a few years. So at the end of it, they'll graduate with a full master's degree. They'll come to our graduation ceremony as well, which is in the summer, and they'll be awarded and they'll go through our award procession, as what our normal students would do. So they're the different routes that you can go down for our courses itself. So then we have our 0 to 5 Food Industry Centre.
So 0 to 5 Food Industry Centre, which I mentioned earlier, is a very good connection between what we do and what industry can offer to students. And sometimes the 0 to 5 Food Industry Centre just working with a small company, just helping to start up, or sometimes they've got some problems and they come us, and then we'll academic depends to what speciality they've got and what expertise they've got. They're going to help the industry to sort the problem out. So just giving you an example, so recently we've been called out and the company wants to produce a new baked goods, which has got sugar-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, and it's a big challenge for the company to produce a good tasty, with a good texture, with a good flavor and a good aroma. And everybody wants to try that, and it does meet all the requirements for the person who just wants to produce that. So we made loads of different products. We tried that. And we've got a sensory evaluation in a site, which the product can be tasted by different people, and the company can make a decision, okay, this is a good recipe, this is a good formulation, can I just sell that, and are people going to come and buy that or not? The other things that the Food Industry Centre does is just the marketing, so the company can get in touch with them and then think how they can invest, how they can get expanded, how they can get bigger. The other things that they do, look, they help the retailers, and then how the company get into the retailer like Asda, Tesco's, or Marks and Spencer's. So there are plenty of opportunity to know more about the industry and what is the requirement for the consumer, and what we can do as an academy to help the industry. It's not just helping the students to learn about food and then just going back to industry. It's just helping continuously for the established industry as well. The other good things about the Food Industry Centre is when students are graduate and finishing their study, they can come and apply for a position in one of the companies that are linked with us. So they can apply outside of the university, or they can apply just through the Food Industry Centre and just get a security for a job. Probably we can discuss that a little bit more in detail, so how students can apply for a position in there.
So since 2009, when we started the Food Industry Centre, the 0 to 5 Food Industry Centre, we've employed just over 50 graduates in total. So for the first few years, we had a KITE project that was in place. So that is a Knowledge Information Technology Exchange. And that's very similar to an old KCP system. It was based on that. And what we would do is we would take graduates and put them into a food company. and the salary would be paid partly by the company and partly through the Welsh Government funding through our university. Now, this was great for the companies because it meant that they were getting academic support along with a graduate for much cheaper than what they would normally do, to try and help them and boost them along the way. And at the same time, the student graduate would be working within the company and they would learn a lot more as well, because we wouldn't just dump them in a company and leave them. We also support them throughout the time that they're there. So we put them on any training courses that might be necessary. We send in some of our academic staff and also some of the staff that work in this department, just to support them and make sure that they're okay and they're competent in the role that they're doing. We also talk with the companies as well, just to make sure that the student is correctly and rightly fitted for this. And that the project itself has worked phenomenally well. 47 of these graduates are still with us, and either on one of those fast track programs or they've continued within the company that we're dealing with, but gone on their own because the company themselves have seen the value in this and just employed them themselves. 80% of these students have gone on to these fast track management programs as well, which kind of shows the level of support that we're offering and how well that the students are engaging with this. So it has been very successful. Now, regarding that, I'll talk about this bit first and I'll come on to this slide. What happened a couple of years ago, that funding ran out, so we obtained additional funding from the Welsh Government in 2016 for about 11.8 million. And as a result of this, we started a Helix project for our graduates, which came into force this year. So we take on 10 students now, 7 of them with food science and technology backgrounds, and 3 of them with marketing and sales skills. But we're going to be looking at that over the next few years. So every year we're going to be looking at recruiting 10 graduates. They don't necessarily have to come from Cardiff Met, they can come from anywhere, but because we're teaching them the material that is coming from case studies from these companies, it puts them at this forefront straight away in terms of jobs and careers and progressing them. So as it says on the slides here, we received this money in 2016, and we are now the strategic partner for the Welsh Government for food manufacturing companies, and we're the first point of contact now for 800 plus food manufacturing companies in Wales. We developed a book which contains every food company in Wales of all shapes and sizes. It's got contact details in there, and it tells whoever opens this book exactly what is in there and what products. Therefore, any food company in Wales can pick up one of these books, and if they're interested in maybe chorizo sausages or lamb products or beef or any other products, they can go to the section and see every single manufacturing company in Wales that will do this product. So this has been a significant help and support to these companies. And we've built this project on 3 themes. So the first one is looking at innovation. So that's product development, reformulation of products. So maybe you want to reduce the fat content, salt content, and also looking at diversification of product ranges. Then what we'll also do is we're looking at a strategy point of view. So bringing these food companies up, so getting them into retailers, for example. And then we'll also look at the sustainability route, because sustainability is very, very important now, and it's ever growing. And one of the areas where in a food company, if you can reduce your waste, that's instant profit, because it was going down the drain beforehand, whereas now you've converted this, so it's instant money for the company. So companies can see the benefit of this as well. And we've also been looking at a system called farm to fork, and that's like one of the retailer terminologies, and it just means looking at all aspects from the agricultural point of view, all the way up to when the consumer actually eats the food at the fork, so to speak. So if you want further information on this, we've got a YouTube video link, which I'm going to play in a second. And as I said beforehand, this is where the Helix knowledge transfer has come into place. So the video I'm going to show you isn't from Helix, it's from the previous project that we did, which was the KITE system. But it's very similar, the model, and what we're doing now with our students and put them into companies. So I've got a 2-minute video to put on now, which is from YouTube, which just shows this system. If you want to go back on it again at a later time, there's lots of other videos that are under this KITE project that you can see as well. Some of them are a little bit longer. One of them, I think, involves a company called Just Love Foods, which is a company that's based in Blackwood, and they started doing nut-free cakes, and they've expanded a lot since then. And there's obviously other few companies that are involved as well. So I'll just play this for you now.
program started in 2009, and over that period of time, we supported and worked with a really the program. It's a traditional knowledge transfer program. We actually work with food manufacturing businesses in Wales. We partner with them to identify technical needs, and we then place the graduates into that company. We use the expertise, knowledge, and experience of the team at the Community Centre to mentor and support that graduate through their program and actually support their company as well. We work on all different kinds of programs, economic development, technical systems, process, advancement, and we also work on food safety systems. This gives them, a lot of our companies, the technical support and excellence that they need to get into the marketplace and to work with new customers. It is a partnership between Zero-to-5, the Community Centre, and College Metropolitan University, the Food Technology Centre at College Lynn in North Wales. We place graduates into food businesses with the technical needs within Wales. We then support that graduate and mentor them to ensure that they can deliver technical support that is required by all of those businesses. We believe this program has led to over 7 new products being developed in food manufacturing businesses we work with. Also, we believe we've created over 500 new jobs in manufacturing and technical roles. The turnover and partner companies have increased by over £100 million over this period.
Okay, so that's, I'm going to stop that quickly before it starts the next video. Oh. No, stop. Right. I'll go back to where I was before. Oh, man. Stop. Right. Yeah. Right.
Okay, let's start talking about the degrees that we've got here. So students, if the pupils coming from school and they think that they are not gaining the credits that the university wants from them, they can start from foundation. And from foundation, they can build up their knowledge, learn more about different sciences, and it's a very good boost at that time to know about the program better. But if students do have the experience, that could help them to build up and come and start the degree rather than going to foundation. There is another 4 programs that we've got. One is Food Science and Technology, which is running at the moment, and students get a degree on BSc. And there is another program which still is not running, and we are hoping that we can run it in the near future, which is Food Industry Management. In Food Science and Technology, students looking at the science as well as the technology, but if I'm just giving a little bit more example on the science part of it, it's not just a solid science that you are required to know more about the depth of the chemistry or the biology or the physics or the math. It's all through the making food and looking at the safety aspect of it. And it's quite in a mild version of the science that you can apply into food. MSc, as Simon mentioned, so students, if they finish food degree, they can increase their knowledge and they can increase the degree by studying Food Science and Technology Masters, or they can do it online. The other good things that happens this year is some of our students are taking a part-time food science degree, which some of them are working in industry, and they come and get 60 credit 1 year, and then they continue the next year to finish the degree, and they gain experience as well as getting the degree at the end of their journey at university with us. Yeah, if you can go to the next. So if you're looking at the food science technology in 2 aspects, one is basically food science, and the next is going to be food technology, or the combination of both. So when graduates coming to going for a job, it doesn't mean that they can work just as a food scientist or as a food technologist, or they can work as both of them. So the science of the food is mainly looking at the chemistry or biology and safety of the food, and how ingredients are reacting to each other, how you can make a new recipe and formulation, how you can improve the safety, how you can improve the processing. For instance, how heat is going to affect the quality, how the storage, how the temperature, how the moisture is going to affect. And the technology is going to collect all these information from the food scientists and put it into the practice and applying that. So science probably base is mainly on the lab and assessment, which technology is more hands-on work. So people have got different preferences. So those do like working in the lab, they can go to the science route, and those people do like working in the practical base and challenge the science. They can work in the technology, or they can work in both part of it. There is no borderline between us. So it's quite broad kind of degree that you can fit your on the ground anywhere that you are enjoying the most. There is a video by the side. I'm not sure it is running at the moment or not. You can see how food can get perished if you are not putting it into the right storage, right temperature. And this is one of the beauty of the food technology, because you know if your food has got high level of moisture, it's going to perish faster, like your fruit. And if it doesn't have that much amount of water, like your bread, it's going to stay well, but obviously it's going to get firm and stale. And probably it's not possible for the consumer to enjoy the food, because it's so safe, it doesn't have any bacteria or mold, but it's not soft as you are expecting to have it. We're looking at the next one. Teaching resources, we've got different way of teaching. So one of them is looking at a small or very large space of teaching. So lecture theatre is normally runs for the programs that are mixed together. So we've got a couple of lectures like nutrition or chemistry, which runs between nutrition, dietetics, and environmental management and food science all together. Could be around 90+ number of students, so they go into the lecture theatre. Or in a smaller or very specific one, we've got a classroom, which could be between 15 to 20 or 30, depends on the number of students taking that course or that program. And it's quite enjoyable environment, and lecturers, the majority of the time, they know the students, they get in touch with them, they know the area that they are very good at it and the area they need more support. So that's one of the beauty of our program. We can connect with our students and find out how we can help them to be confident, how they can be skillful when they are graduating and leaving us for a workplace. The other way of teaching is using the laboratory. So one of the good things about our program is not just students coming and sitting in the classroom and just get lectured. They do have an opportunity to put all these material into the practice. So especially in a second year, they do have some food technology, which they get lesson, and then they go to the practical, and then they produce, and they can experiment, looking at the faults, looking at the remedies, and looking how they can preserve and protect food and making it better for the consumer and the producer. The other way of teaching that we have got in a fourth element is looking at a practical kitchen and food industry center, which students can go and looking at different way of making dairy product, like yogurt making, butter making, ice cream making, cheese making, or they're looking at the sausage making and how to smoke meats or how to make different texture for the meat. The other things that we've got is baking technology, looking at a variety of baked goods like bread, scones, puff pastry, and choux pastry. So we are looking at how we can make a good product, as well as how we can make faults and how we can fix that fault. The other technology that we teach is a confectionery technology. Students taking that one in a second year, and in that technology they learn about how to improve the quality of the chocolate, how they make sweet balls, how they make caramels, toffee, nougat, marshmallow. And also last year, for the first time, we had a competition between the students. They put all these skills in a plate and making different products, and then they start getting a vote. So who's going to win the best product? You can check on our Facebook, which we are going to give you the Facebook page information, so you can see who was the winner last year. The final way of our teaching is taking students for a visit. There are plenty of visit runs through first year to final year. Majority of the visit takes place in the second year and the final year. So we believe we students going to different places and visiting the food processing or taking part in food exhibitions or conferences, they can learn more, because they are seeing new people And also we encourage students to increase their network, because if they know more people, they can learn better and they can apply it back into their studying. And this year we went to FoodX. Simon took students to a food exhibition yesterday, and I'm taking a couple of our students next week to another food processing factory, so they can see what we said in the class and what they've done in the practical, how they can apply it in a bigger scale. Towards the end of November, we're going to Camden BRI, which is a very a big research department. It does have different factors of food, from sensory, microbiology, and microscopy assessment, physical assessment, and students can look at the pilot plant and find out how they can apply and how they can do research if they are interested in. So these are the variety of teaching method that we do in our university, and we are very happy to get any feedbacks from students to make our teaching better every year.
Before I continue, I've got a couple of questions that's come up. I'll answer Audrey's first because it's the easiest one. Yes, I can send the presentation across. When you get the presentation, hopefully the video should work okay, because there's a time-lapse video, as Anita said, where you see the food going off. And that took about a month to do in total, with taking photographs continuously over a month, and it didn't work for this, which is a shame. But at least you'll be able to see it in your own time anyways, and then you can blow it up and see the full screen, because it looks quite good when you see the mold developing all of, or bad at the same time. It looks quite bad when you see all the mold developing up. And the other question that we've got is, could this be studied as a joint with another course linked in with sport or some relevance to nutrition? So we'll do a nutrition degree program anyway, and we'll do a variety of sports related programs. We don't do food science and technology with sport or with nutrition, but we do include some nutrition elements within our food science course anyway. So we take modules like new product development, which has a lot of elements of nutrition based into that. And there's other optional modules that the students can take in the second year and the third year that have nutrition based into those. We don't tend to have anything that's linked sports-wise, but again, we've got excellent sporting facilities, and we've got lots and lots of extracurricular activities, so students can get involved in the football teams, rugby teams, hockey teams if they want to. We'll do like basketball, tennis, pretty much any sport you can think of, we have something linked with this. So they can't do this as a sideline, but it wouldn't be part of their degree program at the moment.
And just add up to what Simon mentioned here, the other things that they can do when it comes to NPD project, they can take a project which is linked with this sport. For instance, if the company is looking how to develop a drink for the sport people, we had students who work on that, so they improve the quality of the drink so it's more nutritious. Or we can make a protein bar. So when athletes are doing some exercise and they want to have more protein, so this is another way, just linking the food science to the sport. In addition to that, on Wednesday afternoon is dedicated for sport day. So anybody wants to use the facility that we've got at the university, they don't have any lectures or any activities, so they can use that time for doing sport and going to King Court and use the facility, or using the gym that we've got in Llandaff campus. And the rugby field that we've got back off the university.
Yeah. I mean, on that as well is within our NPD module, what I should have said is, well, it's on a later slide anyway, but we get a lot of briefs from food manufacturing companies from all shapes and sizes. And one of the ones that we've got this year is from a sports-related company. And they've asked our students to develop a new sports supplement. So this would be high protein product, a powder with superfood ingredients as well, that you can make into cakes or buns or into a milkshake. So I've got 2 students that are working on this at the moment, and next year in March, the company are going to be coming in and seeing the students and seeing what they developed.
I think this is one of the other strengths of the program that we run in Cardiff Met, is the method of assessment. And every year students, when they give us feedback and we take evaluation from them, they say they enjoy the variety of the assessment that we've got. It's not just a pure solid exam, which some students may like it, and some students might get frustrated, I'm not very good at exam. So there are plenty of variety of the modules with different methods of assessment. So one of the assessment which students do like is the assignment and portfolio. So NPD, for instance, is run by portfolio, and students just developing the product and keep all the development every time that they do go into the lecture or they go into the practical, and put it in the folder. At the end of the year, they've got a portfolio saying that where I was and where was my product and what is it and what did I learn. And during providing this portfolio, they learn about nutrition, they learn about costing, how to market the product, how to package the product, how to do the sensory evaluation. Is anybody wants to buy that product, or that product is going to just sit on the shelf and nobody's going to buy that? How to make a profit out of that, how to think about the cost of the people going to work in the ground floor. So there are plenty of information that they can get just by putting into the portfolio. Assignment and essay is the topic that given to the students. So when they come to the lectures, they come to the practical, they were given a topic, they can go and search and look at the books, look at the website, look at whatever information is available, and just in their own time write it up and then submit at the deadline. The other method of assessment that we've got is presentation, which is very popular. We run it through a variety of the modules that we've got. They can stand up, which is an excellent way of gaining confidence. In the first year, some of our students feeling, oh, it's not me, I'm scared of it. But when they stand up in front of their friends and just start talking about it, that's just the start, and they feel, oh, I'm very good at it, or probably how can I improve that? That's the first year, and then from the second year onward, they learn how to do the presentation, and you can see how they have changed the way that they present. They prepare the PowerPoint, or they prepare the papers that they're giving out to the others, and it's a very good way of how you apply for the job, because if you are a good presenter, then you can present yourself and your skills and secure the job. So we are helping the students to improve their connection, communication, networking, and also showing us how much they have learned from the lecture, and they can pass the module. The other way of assessment is the laboratory reports and the practical. So when they come to the practical, as I said, our program is practical based. It's not just having a lecture. So if you do have a lecture and you go to the practical, you need to show that you develop the skills and you are confident to work on your own and you are not scared of making any product. So we assess that one, and students know how they're going to get the evaluation from. And at the end, they're going to write a report. Depends which practical they are on it. Is it a science practical, or is it a new product practical, or is it technology practical? So they're going to write up what they've done, what the data they have found, and how they're going to analyze that. This report and writing is going to help the students for the dissertation, which is the final year research project. They choose a topic and they come and collect data, putting it together. They already done these experiments before, so they are more confident to put it back and write their dissertation and get the degree and say, goodbye, I'm going. And the final way of, or probably we've got another more, the fourth way of assessment is poster. So we encourage the students to write and design a poster in a variety of our module. The basic one, when they do sensory assessment, so they develop a poster and put it all over the university, inviting staff, students, visitors to come and try the product and giving some feedback. Is the product good? How much they are willing to pay to buy that product? So this is the first and easy way of preparing the poster. And they prepare a poster for other modules like new product development, so where the product was and where is it at the end, who can buy that, who can eat it, what are the allergens, what are the ingredients. And finally, in the research project, in final year, in dissertation, they prepare the poster. And sometimes the quality of the posters are very good, which we submit the posters and the abstract to the conferences. So me and Simon were lucky that we could support and help students, and the abstract was accepted to a couple of conferences around the world and internationally and nationally. And students put that achievement into their CV, saying that, okay, I gathered the data and this is my signature. I'm happy to share it with everybody. and their names goes into the internet, the booklet of the conferences. And it's a very good achievement to say that, okay, it's not just food, making food. I can put some marks into the science and help other people to continue. The other way of assessment, which we have got here, it's exam. So some of the module has got an exam, which normally is combined with other method of assessment. So students are not just having an exam to get panicked. Some modules got purely exam, but majority of the time is combination of the exam with one of the 4 elements that we've got to help the students to make the most of their capability and ability and make sure that they can get a good mark and feel good about their achievements. The other project that we've got is employability, which Simon is going to talk about that.
Yeah, so we've got a few slides now just to look at employability and some of the things that we do. I'll run through a couple of these quite quickly because I wanted to not just focus on our university, I also wanted to focus on different pathways and careers you can go down, because I'm conscious not everybody wants to go to university, and there's a variety of other ways that you can get into the food industry and get a variety of very good careers rather than just study at university. But again, obviously being from a university, we're going to focus on some of our areas as well. So one of the things that we'll look at as well within our second year and third year students is product development projects. So we contact a number of food manufacturing companies from all over the UK, and we ask, do you want us to develop anything for you? See, a lot of food companies, they've got development teams which are brilliant, but sometimes they've got like projects that they haven't got time to look at themselves. So they're the ones that we would give the students and get 2 or 3 students working on these briefs. So we've had some for retailers, we've had quite a lot for food manufacturing companies, and we've had some for the NHS as well. So ones for the NHS are looking at ketogenic diets. There's people that suffer from epilepsy that have had to have modified diets, so it's looking at biscuits and cakes that are meant to help with reducing fits. We've looked at those who have got who are dysphagic, so liquidy type foods instead. And then we've looked at those of variety diets. So can we produce a cake that's virtually fat-free and contains chocolate? So we try to give them challenging projects as well. We had one last year that contained a lot of beetroot. It was a cake, and it was beetroot with lots of vegetables in it. It was like 2 of your 5 a day, and this was just gorgeous. You try this and you would never tell when you were eating it. It was very good. And then we'll also look at in terms of some of the sports companies, as I said as well. And then we'll send students on placements. So, sorry, do you want to talk about this?
This is very exciting because students can learn a lot when they go for a placement. So when they finish the second year of their study, they can go for either 3 months placement or 12 months, depends how they feel. And then they can gain credits for it. So if they go for a 3 months placement, the credit they can get is less than the 12 months. But obviously the amount of experience and the skills that they can get is huge. As you can see on the screen, we've got a couple of big and small companies which we worked in the past, and we had students, they went there. And when they come back, the good things about being in a placement, doesn't matter if it's 3 months or 12 months, the good things students, they acknowledge what they learned during these 2 years, how useful it was. Secondly, when they come back, they say, oh, I'm more confident. And the quality of the work that they do in terms of assignment, poster, networking, communication, and it's all getting better, they improve. And sometimes the company they go, they do have the budget and they are happy to keep the students, so they offer them the position. And they say, okay, go and finish your final year and come back and work for us. We had a couple of students working for a big and small company and are still working for the same company that they went there. A very simple example that I can say here, a couple of weeks ago we went and visited one of our students who applied for a 3 months placement. The company really liked the way that she was working there, and they said, we've got the money, we would like you to stay for us for a year. And she was very happy that she can stay there, make money. It's not placement, just you go and work for the company for nothing and gaining the skills. You will get the skills, you get the confidence, and you will get paid as well. Depends where you're going, the amount of money you will earn is going to be different. So she's now staying there for a year placement, and we are all happy to support her. When students are in a placement, we go and visit them to make sure the company are giving them a right task to do, and students are happy to work in that environment. If there is any challenge or if there is any problem, one of the staffs who are responsible for that student is going to go there and find out what they can do to help the students and help the company. From the big company, which we've got the PepsiCo on the left-hand side of the slide, we had from the past 2 years, we had students went there. They had placement 12 months. They enjoyed the work in that company. They send them for different training courses. They send them to different countries for different variety of the work. And also we had a student who came back from PepsiCo. She managed to secure a job, and now she's working in PepsiCo as a PepsiCo staff. So it's not just coming to university and learning about different things about different subjects. It's a potential to find a job even before your graduation. So I think there are plenty of opportunity at the moment. There are demand for food science graduate or food technologies graduate, and we are always happy to support our students in keeping the links with industry to make sure that students can go and enjoy the placement and come back with great confidence. The other things that we do in university is a competition. So when we're taking the students for different visits, one of the visits that we do is taking them to Camden BRI, which I mentioned earlier. And they do run different projects with IFSD, which is Institute of Food Science and Technology. And the project they run is called Ecotrophilia. It's partly related to new product development module, which asks students to make a sustainable, eco-friendly, and innovative food. And the idea is making sure that we can bring the waste back into the food chain, or making a new food with low waste and being so sustainable. In the past couple of years, we were lucky that got a group, they put the project together and they submit their application, they get shortlisted, they went there and they present. And once one of our group won a prize, £1,000 for the project that they produced. They look at the waste from biscuit factory, look at the waste from cider factory and turn it into the jelly, put them all together, and they coat it with the chocolate, and it was a second position. The winner of this competition can go to Europe to compete against the other food products, and the price for that, as you can see on the screen, is €8,000. So it's a very good networking, it's a very good environment to show your skills and get in touch with other people in that environment. Simon.
So for the last couple of years, we've been awarded outward mobility funding. So this came up, the first time was last year, and we successfully received £20,000, and we took students to China. So 20 of us, 20 students plus 3 lecturers went to China. So we started out in Beijing. We were there for about 3 or 4 days, and then went to Tianjin. So we stayed with the university in Tianjin, and all the students buddied up with Chinese students. So you all take a present over and receive a present at the same time. They put on this evening of entertainment, and we got asked to put on some entertainment ourselves. And we thought we'd do like some kind of pub quiz, typical British pub quiz. So we thought we got like some sheets of paper, we'll put questions down, put photographs, pictures, and try to keep it as simple as possible, because we weren't sure whether the Chinese people would understand what we were doing or not. And then when we turned up at the event, it was like watching something out of X Factor. So there was a massive stage, and there was a backdrop behind it that had a big banner up saying Cardiff Met University. There was 800 students in this hall with us, all Chinese, all waiting for us to get and do some kind of dance, a presentation. And this was like, oh my God, we didn't know any about this at all, right? So somebody came out and said, we understand this is probably short notice, just sit down instead. So we sat down, and they had the talent show event on. So they had people up doing dancing, mixed martial arts, playing instruments, and these were all really professional. And then halfway through the night, they stopped and said, right, now it's time for Cardiff Metropolitan University. So the students are going to come up and do a presentation. It's like, what? We got no notification. It was a very bizarre but very great night. And it's these sort of things that you remember for the rest of your life that you wouldn't normally get in any other opportunities. And these are the things that you take from this as well. So it's not just a case of you don't just go to university to study and work hard. You have to take the social aspect of these things and the learning curve as well. So the bottom two photographs are taken from Chicago. So that was 2016, 2017. We took 10 students to Chicago. And you've got a lovely backdrop in the bottom bottom right-hand picture. So again, we had the students marry up with university students from Chicago as well. And we looked at a couple of different food companies and discussed the differences between the UK industry and the American industry as well. We also take students to food manufacturers and food conferences. So the photographs that you see here, the one that looks in the factory is actually in the factory. So again, we'll take students around there. The other one is one that I took yesterday because we went to a food conference yesterday. So that's myself with 2 students and Heather Mills. So during the conference, Heather turned up and she did a short presentation on her vegan diet and her company, V-Bites, I think they're called, and how she's been doing a lot of work with Fatboy Slim. She's been at Oprah Winfrey and some of her shows. So obviously I had to get the photograph in at the end with myself, with Heather as well. But again, it's trying to look, to broaden their skills, to say, look, this is what the food companies are like, this is what it's like inside. But also going into these conferences so they get to speak to these people and they build their soft skills, ability to be able to talk to different people in different situations. So they're learning communication skills. They're building confidence within themselves as well. One of the things that we take the students to as well is every year I take a handful of students to Harrods and we do a behind the scenes tour. So we take the students about 8 stories underground into the World War II bomb shelters, which is underneath Harrods. People don't normally go to these places at all, and they get to have a wander around and see where all the food comes in, so they see the real high-end clothing as well. And you've got some clothing in there. In one of the departments within Harrods is a premium part of Harrods. Not that Harrods isn't premium enough, but you go in there and none of the clothing is priced up because some of the dresses start at around £100,000 and go up over beyond there. So again, it's just showing them different aspects in that respect as well. One of the things that we did a few years ago is we got accredited by the IFST, the Institute of Food Science and Technology, and they do some wonderful events with different universities around the UK, looking at how we can improve the food sector and also get students in the food industry and give them all of these skill sets that they need. So one of the photographs here shows my colleague Anita with 3 students, and this was the 2nd prize winner from the Eco-Triphalia, which was part run by the IFST. The other photograph is a Young Scientist Award. So this is a few universities that are present there with a couple of our students. And this is in the regional finals that they got to as well. Again, just getting them out, great things to put on your CV, showcasing them, putting them in front of like high industry representatives to say, look at me, look at what we can do as well. What we also did a couple of years ago as well is we looked at jobs and careers. And we found that quite often RSPH was requested for jobs. So they would say, have you got HACCP or food safety qualifications? So we contacted RSPH and we became an official registered centre of those. And we now give the students the opportunity to do this on the course. So they can do level 3 and level 4 qualifications. Because the qualifications are external, they have to pay for the exams. But you're talking about £27.50 for a level 3 or £38 for a level 4 exam. If you want to do this externally, companies such as Camden could cost you £2,000 for a level 4 qualification, each one. So if you want to do a HACCP one and a food safety, you're looking at in the region of £3,500 to £4,000 if you want to do that on your own. Whereas if you come to us, it's £76. So there's a massive difference in terms of cost of skills that they can get as well. Again, it's just another thing that they can put onto the CV, another certificate that they can have within their programme as well. So how we support the students?
This is what we do and trying to just show what we have at the university. So normally we run some workshops for the pupils from different schools. So they come and depends what they want. We run a different activity. So one of the activities that I ran before, as you can see on the picture, is the science of the chocolate. So students learn about the facts and how they can make a good shelf life chocolate and how they can make a different molds. And at the end of the session, they've got the opportunity to take these samples with them. And while we are waiting for the chocolate to set in the fridge, we will have a tour of the facility, tour of the universities, and looking at different laboratories, lab and canteen, restaurants, cafeteria that we've got in the university. So they get a feeling, if they come to university, what environment they can see. The other workshop that I run for students is Science of Baking, looking at the fermentation, what is the biological leavening agent, and how the gas is going to be produced, what's the effect of heating the oven, convection and conduction. So these are the science bits of the baking, but it's very in a mild way that we are introducing the science to students with an example, which we are hoping that teachers in the school can use this science to tell students, okay, how they can apply in food processing and food production and food preservation. So we are happy to welcome any schools to come to school, to university, and we can run a workshop for them and showing them around, or we are happy to come to your schools and talk to pupils about the job opportunities, the program, and what they can do if they study food science and technology. The other things that we've done in the past, we ran some sessions for the teachers, we ran some sessions for career advisors, and we're still happy to run that if that's going to help and support. And we are hoping that we can give you some example of the science in a form of applied, rather than just to talk about the science in a class, so you can have just a real example of everyday food that we are consuming.
So again, if we want to organise a visit, Cara, if you want to organise another trip to us, by all means, you can all come along and do a bakery workshop, confectionery workshop with us as well. So again, you can tie this in maybe with one of your meetings. We'll go down to a workshop in the morning, and you can have one of your meetings in one of our meeting rooms in the afternoon, something like that. This slide I'm only going to put in very quickly, but it's just to say that there's lots and lots of help and support for schools that are doing courses in food or biology or physics that they want to use food examples. So I've got in the middle where it says links, and also underneath where it says Love Food, Love Science and IFST, they've all got hyperlinks embedded into those. So you go into the Love Food, Love Science one, and there's about 4 pages of information in terms of case studies. So it talks about when apples and fruit go brown, what happens. There's videos that go with this as well. There's downloadable material to give the students, so at least they can show them a variety of different processes. And this goes from different levels, so they can be looking at this from the age of maybe 12, 13, all the way up to like 15, 16 years old, or beyond that as well. But the nice, simple, the easy step-by-step instructions. There's teacher support material on there, and there's also material to give the kids as well.
I just answered a couple of questions that come up for the age of the students. We think that it will these workshops going to help students to take a right path for the A levels or for GCSE if they come at year 11 or 12. But we run some workshops for year 10 as well. But we think that they are very young. But we can look at the requirement of your program or your course. So from year 10, 11, 12. Is the age that we run a workshop for them. The other question that we have here is the students who do not do catering. Well, any students doing any science or they do have an interest towards food, the course or the workshop is going to benefit them. Some of the students, some of the people even don't know what they can do with the food science. So when they come and do have the workshop, they get a better idea and better understanding. So if they are doing a science at a school, that's fantastic. It still is very good and very useful for them to make a pass and make a decision what they're going to do for the A level or for the GCSEs.
Again, though, if you've got younger kids but they are interested in food, we can always discuss this and we can see what we can do there. One of the things that we set up with the IGD is the Industry of Grocery Distribution, and this is an organisation that part of it looks at trying to get school kids into universities for programs, food-related programs. So there's 5 universities that are involved now: ourselves, Hopper Adams, University of Leeds, Nottingham and Reading. and it's a 3-day program. So kids that are interested, I think they're about a GCSE age or A-level age, they would apply on the IGD website. Again, anything on this, on this half of the page, you click on this, it's a hyperlink, it'll take you straight there. And the kids can apply on this and they can come and stay with us for 3 days. So we'll put them into university grounds, or they'll stay in some other type of accommodation. They'll have all the food provided for them as well. We'll take them out for a meal maybe in the evening, and they'll come and they'll do some workshops with us. The workshops tend to start the first day, just afternoon as an introduction, then they've got a full following day, then half day the last day. But we've had 2 students as a result of this that have started our degree programme because they've really enjoyed it.
We've got a couple of questions. Probably someone can help me to answer that. So students coming to university, do they need a science background? So if they do have science, that's going to help them. If they don't have a science, but they've done food subject, that's going to help them to get into our program. Or if they've done some experience around food, if they work somewhere in a company, that's going to help them again. If they've done BTech, Welsh back, that's going to help. So probably you can add up how they can get into the course.
In terms of your credits, it's 112 credits will get you onto the course. It used to be 280 is the old system, I think, whereas the new one is 112 credits. UCAS credits will get you onto the program. But again, if science wasn't your subject, then you can always look at our foundation route instead and go down the foundation, and then that gives you enough of a science background that can lead you onto the course.
The other things that I would like to add in is we've got students who are just coming straight from school, and we've got some students are mature and they've gone for a gap year or they've gone to work, and then they come to us, which is a little bit different when they want to apply for the university. So those are having a gap year or they are mature students. All the experience and the work that they've done, it's going to help them to get to the course probably easier.
So I'm conscious we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I've got like about 10 slides or something. So I'll run through some of these very quickly. But again, if you've got any questions, can we go longer then? Go longer? Right, okay. I'll continue about maybe another 10 minutes if that's okay. So progression after school, and this is one of the key things here. So what we're looking at here is you've got 3 optional routes. Your first one is job. So once you've done your GCSEs, you can go straight into a job within any sort of food sector. The difficulty there is that you're going to start at the basic level. It's very hard to get into some kind of food safety, food technical or food sciencey orientated role without further qualifications. So it's likely that you're going to be on the production line, working in a manufacturing environment, and progression is going to be slow, and you're probably going to be on minimum wage or thereabouts. Some companies, as a result of this, do offer training, so you can start in this route, and you know, if you are determined, you can speak to somebody that works there and say, look, I really like my job, really like working here. Is there any training that you can offer? But a lot of them will say, well, probably not really. So you may have to do things on your own back. So that's looking at further or higher education routes to try and help you progress. Otherwise, you might just want to just work on a shop floor environment and do that sort of thing instead. The other 2 ways is either through an apprenticeship or obviously further or higher education. Now, the apprenticeships are brilliant, and they've really, kicked off over the last few years. There's been a lot of funding, investments in this. So if you go to where it says apprenticeship, again, that's a link to the government website, which has got lots of links within food and drink for apprenticeship programs. My son didn't really like school very much at all. He started an apprenticeship program working for Aldi's. So all he's got is GCSEs, nothing more, and he's on a management apprenticeship program, which is for 3 years. Again, you went into the Aldi's website, found all the details on it there, and he's really excelling in that sort of area. The advantages again there is you train while you work, you're getting paid at the same time, so that's motivating you. There is limited availability, but the availability is there, and it is starting to build at the same time. Again, the third route would be your further or your higher education, and that's kind of where we step in. So from the higher education route, if you get a degree, obviously there's more employment opportunities because you've got the higher qualifications. You've got a quicker career progression as well, because the companies can see that your skill set is already there, so you can go into from a technologist to a senior technologist to a manager over a period of a few years. You can get greater experiences, obviously, going through a university, through some of the previous slides that I've showed you. So it's not just the work, you've got the social aspect as well, so you can build up a lot of good friends. You tend to find that those that are graduating are on a higher salary, initial salary, and it goes up at a higher rate. And the pay now for those that work in the food industry is, honestly, it is phenomenally high. You know, I've seen some people that have graduated and after maybe 10, 12 years, they're on doctors' salaries. You know, you're talking about 70 to 100,000 pounds a year, some of them are, because there's a limited number of people that are going into this field. It's like one of these hidden gems. People just don't know about this area at all. We don't get many students that come to our course, maybe 20 to 30 each year, and that's the same with other universities around the UK. But the number of jobs, you can go on to a variety of specific food jobs, and there's over 1,000 jobs frequently advertised on these. And some of them will give you over 100,000 a year for the senior management roles. So really, the sky's the limit. And you can also go down to things like consultancy routes instead. So I've done some consultancy work through the university, and they offer, you know, upward of £500 per day for some consultancy work, if you've got the experience as well. So in terms of your career paths, you see a lot of kids now, they just don't know what they want to do. They don't know what route they want to go down. They're unsure about what course that they can do. Sorry, stop there for a second. You said that there are 800 food companies in Wales. Yes, they are small. Some of them are small, some of them are large. You've got some of them that are still working from their home, and they're selling like bakery products or other products from their home. Other ones are much, much larger. Some of them are farm-related companies as well. So they do vary quite a lot. So do graduates need to look outside Wales to find a career? No. They don't need to look outside Wales to find a career. There's lots of food companies within Wales. It's one of the key areas that the Welsh Government are trying to improve upon quite a lot. Hence why we've had a lot of government funding to try and boost the Welsh food area. Because of the food industry centre within our sector as well, we've got a lot of contacts within Welsh food companies, so we can help students get jobs afterwards. Again, not just in Wales, UK based, so you can go into England. We've had a student graduate this year who's now living in Scotland, and they've got a job working in a Scottish manufacturing company. Or go over Europe instead, or further afield. You know, we don't try to tie people up and say, look, you can only get a job in Wales because the degree is Welsh. You can go anywhere that you want. And the more open you are to travel, the more opportunities that you're going to have available to you as well. So this slide that I've got here has just got a few role-in positions that are going up at the moment. And these are the different areas you can go into with this one qualification. You know, from the likes of development to food safety to management, you can go and work for government. You can stay in education and go into becoming a teacher or a lecturer. You can go down the sales route instead, or you can go into you know, a variety of manufacturing routes, or be an entrepreneur, start your own food company instead. So there's such a variety of routes that you can look at.
I'm not sure that we've got time to just say that we got to the food in a different pathway. So my pathway to getting into the food, I studied food science, and then I started working in a food company for a couple of years, and then I found that the company needs some support from academics, so I started doing my master's, helping to sort out the problems, and then I started doing my PhD and doing more research, which was a different way of looking at food. After my PhD, I started working for the company and helping them. But then I came to teaching and doing some research and doing some training and giving my knowledge back to the students, which is one of the pathways if you study food science and technology. So you can have a variety of them, working in industry, working in a consultancy, or working in academia and do the teaching. And Simon has got different pathway to mine.
Yeah, I mean, I did my GCSEs, started A-levels and just didn't like school. I didn't get on with the whole school environment, so I did 1 year in school, realised it wasn't for me, and then started again at Gateshead College. And it was while I was in my second year at Gateshead College, we had a careers advisor coming in, and he says, look, you are interested in science, why don't you try the food industry? He said, everyone's got to eat at the end of the day, so there's always going to be a job somewhere in this. And that kind of got me thinking about food and food careers and stuff, so I did a little bit of my own research. And that took me on to start in university. So I went to Glasgow University, did a degree there, and from there I then moved over to Copenhagen and did a short summer course in Copenhagen, just because an opportunity became available. So I thought, you know, grab it while you can. And then I moved back to Newcastle, and I started working at a soup manufacturing company. And it wasn't the best company in the world to work for, but it got me a taste of working within a quality and food safety related role. And then from there, I moved down to Wales, and I worked for a soup and sauce manufacturing company, and it's kind of expanded for about 12 years. So I've done a lot of work working in manufacturing companies in food safety or technical or product development roles. I used to work for the Real Crisp company before it disappeared and got bought up by another company. And I did development roles there. So I looked at hand-cooked crisps and got a variety of different flavors with those. So from chili flavors to beer flavored crisps to paprika or meat flavored ones as well. And while I was working there, I got headhunted for working for a retailer. So I moved over to working for retailers and started auditing companies. So I traveled around the world, going into food manufacturing companies and being taken out to very, very lavish restaurants and hotels and stuff, looking at a variety of different food companies from around the world. And then from that, I went back into manufacturing again. And then from there, I got, again, headhunted, and a position came up as a lecturer working at our university. So from 12 or 13 years working in the food industry, I'm now teaching it and giving examples and real-life examples as to what the students could be encountering when they go into this. So just from this background here, you can see here, I started in food safety, went from food safety to development, from development into management, then management into auditing back into food safety, and then into teaching. So you don't just have to stay into one area either, you can jump around a lot. And I think that's one of the advantages of this, because you don't have to stay in one field. If you don't like product development, fine. You know, go into buying and sales. If you don't like that, well, fine. Go into marketing, go into become a teacher, become an auditor. There's so many different routes and paths, and I've only put out a very small selection here. But it's not like other qualifications where you're kind of tied into that one field. There's so many opportunities that are available. And from this, you got so many different personal development opportunities as well that you can gain from this. You know, personally, you can become a lot more assertive in what you're doing. You gain a lot of confidence because you speak to so many people. And those that are shy, that are timid, it really brings them out in themselves as well. It improves things like the communication skills, the way that they critically think and evaluate and organise things. It teaches them how to listen a lot more, especially if you're travelling abroad. I mean, when I first moved down to Wales, not many people understood what I was saying. So I've learned to tone down my accents quite a lot. And again, when I go abroad as well, it's trying to listen to different accents as well. So you tend to focus on them a lot more. But this improves a lot of like your problem solving skills and dealing with difficult situations. So that there's so many different personal or soft skills you develop from looking at this sort of program as well. So just lastly on this, there's a range of websites you can go onto to find out a lot of other information about careers, different areas you can go into in terms of fields. So things like the IFST, the Love Food, Love Science, the one I showed you, which gives lots of support and help to schools. You can go into the National Skills Academy for Food and Drink. There's a thing on there called Tasty Careers. So that's by the Food and Drink Federation, looking at a range of different careers and opportunities in the food industry. So that talks you through like from GCSE all the way up to degree levels. There's also things like from the Food and Drink Federation. There's also opportunities within some of these for support. So if you're thinking finance, money, it's going to be expensive. Some of these do offer you support to get into like, you know, degrees or higher education routes instead.
So just to complete what Simon said, I was talking to some of my students. When I'm running some workshop, I try to invite our students to come and speak and talk about their experience and then say that what they learn and how they found it. But one of the things that they mention is when they graduate and then start working, the money that they're going to pay back for the loan is not that scary things to stop students to come and start education. My students who came and spoke, so that the benefit of having a degree, having this amount of skills and knowledge and confidence is really, really valuable. And it's not a huge amount of money that they pay. And some of the salaries that they get to start with is not meeting even the criteria that you are having to pay your loan back. So it's a very good start investing and studying and then pay gradually as you go along with your salary. We've got a question here about how you can come and visit us. As in the next slide, I think someone put some information on emails, and also you've got a contact with our lovely friends in Korea, so they can give you our information and details. So hopefully we can organize a session for you to come and visit us, or we come to visit you at wherever you are.
Yeah, so if you just want to contact us, either contact Anita or myself. We've got the email addresses here. Or again, as Anita said, go through Cara. Please get in contact with us. We can arrange to school visits and stuff. Just conscious, during term time it's quite difficult because obviously we're teaching students and we've got our own programs. But we'll have a much longer summer holiday than what schools have, so that's always a good time. There's also a 5-week period where we don't have any teaching over the Christmas period. And we also have like a 3-week period at Easter as well. So there's always opportunities at Easter time, Christmas time, or through the summer as well.
Or you can apply for IGD, which is excellent. It's not just one school, so anybody can apply through the whole country. Especially if you are in Wales, even better because it's closer. We are in Wales, so you can come and see what we have got and what support is available to people. And also they can meet other people from other schools, which is a good networking and making friends as well. So IGD is another path.
IGD, yeah, it's a great route. This is the first year that we ran it, and it worked very successfully. I think we had 18 students that came. We take on 20 or up to 20 each year. So depending on who applies for next year, then obviously it depends on where they come. We've had one student that came over from Germany as well. So they flew over from Germany just for a 3-day event, which was really exciting. But otherwise, we've had some local students. We've had some from all over the UK that have come. And again, it gets everybody together as well, all 18 of them, and they get to talk to each other, talk about their own experiences, what they're all like and what they dislike and stuff. So it's a good way of just being able to get some new friends, for them to get new friends as well.
The bottom of the page, before you move on, I just invite you all to have a look at our Facebook page, which shows that what is going on in our program and every new activities happening. We will put some information, sometimes pictures or a note, and sometimes we send a job which we get involved and we know about it, so students can start applying for it. So it's worth looking at the Facebook page. It gives you a flavor of what we're doing in our program.
But again, if you've got any questions at all, please post them here now. Alternatively, if you think if it's a later time, please get in contact with us directly through the email address or Cara. You can post them on to us, and then we're happy to answer anything afterwards.
We all hope that you enjoy the session and get some information that is valuable to you. But if you still got a question, I'm not sure that we've got time to answer them, but if something's coming up, we will try to reply to that. But apart from that, this is what we've got time for, to just introduce our university and just giving just a little bit of our background.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much to Simon and Anita. I think it's been really fascinating. Every time I listen to Simon and Anita, I want to be a food scientist. So just see they talk about it so passionately, and it's such an interesting area of work. So thank you very much, and thank you everybody for listening as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
I hope to see you soon anyways. Come
Yes.
in, have a bakery workshop, come and make some bread or some chocolate.
And you can enjoy the samples. The samples belongs to whoever makes it.
Yes, I definitely recommend a team building day with Simon and Anita, because we did it last year, and we came away with lovely bread samples, and we had a really nice lunch. And we had a meeting room for our team meeting in the afternoon, and then in the morning we made bread and we had some presentations, and it was a really good day out for the team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Up there, end event.
Yeah.